Happy New Year, everyone. We're kicking off the new year with someone who is kicking off the new year in a really big way. Meet Jordan Mulanax. Let's get started. Well, thanks for being here, Jordan. I'm excited to introduce you to our audience. And you and I have talked about it off the air that we met through a business that you're no longer part of, but it's nice. Sometimes we meet people through business or on an airplane or wherever at the park, and then you get to stay in touch no matter how you met in the first place. So I'm glad we're still in touch, and I'm glad you're here. Thank you for being here.
Yes, me too. Me too.
Well, let's talk about, I want to share your story in its entirety, but really let's first focus on what got you to where you are making these big changes. I have you on the first week of January for a reason. Not big on resolutions, but I am big on, the time is now. It doesn't have to be the first week of January. It doesn't have to be your birthday or any big milestone. The time is always now to not wait for the important things. So let's talk about where you're coming from and what was a big pivotal point in your life to make some big changes along the way.
Yes, absolutely. So, coming out of high school, I'm 28 right now. So it's been a little bit since then, but whenever I was coming out of high school, I thought, okay, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to get the degree. I'm going to become a teacher. And that was kind of the focus I was on. Not really sure that's actually really what I wanted to do. It was just kind of what you're told to do. And so I actually didn't move away for college. I stayed local because my father was battling cancer at the time, and I just wanted to be close to him. And so in that season, unfortunately, we had lost my dad to cancer, and he battled for 7 years. And it was just a really, really hard time. But it was also kind of a shift in my life where I had the reality of this is life. And, we aren't promised tomorrow. We don't know, when our time comes. And so I just had this kind of voice in my head was, is this actually what you want to do? How do you want to live your life? What are the things that you want? And we were very simple growing up, didn't have any crazy luxurious things or anything. So it was never in my heart that I needed those things. But I also just wanted to make sure that I was happy every single day. And I wasn't happy with what I was doing at the time.
When you think about that, because some people, how old were you when your dad passed away?
20.
20. And so there are some people who don't have any kind of brush with death or tragedy or complications in their life at that age. There's some people don't lose someone until they're much, much older, or some people lose someone close to them much younger. I think that to get the lesson right away, it's kind of the point, right?
Yeah.
If you're not collecting lessons with the hard stuff, then you're not really also going to appreciate the times when things are good. So what do you think some of the pivotal lessons for a 20-year-old going through this were for you? I mean, yes, to live life, and was it hard because, you were seeing your friends go off to college? I had cancer in my early 20s and seeing my friends going to college and getting married and getting pregnant. And I was exactly stuck where I had to be. There was no avoiding it. I had to go through what I had to go through. So for you, what were some of the things that really turned it around for you? What were the lessons you were learning that you didn't want to let go of?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like watching all of my friends kind of leave. I felt honestly, I feel like I've grown a lot since then, but my first initial feelings were this is unfair. This cannot be the life that I'm supposed to live. I was 20 years old. I hadn't even hit my 21st birthday yet. I mean, all of the thoughts of he won't be at my wedding. I was angry. I think actually back then I was like, I didn't really want to have all the things because he wouldn't be there anymore to really experience that with me. And so I think one of the biggest life lessons though, is it made me appreciate the relationships I had in my life a lot more. The relationship with my mom grew tremendously at a very young, at a younger age. Because when you're in your, younger 20s, you're not really thinking about let's build a relationship with your parents. That's when you're venturing out away from them. And so for me, it was a big shift of, okay, I've lost someone really close to me, someone that I thought would be in my life till I had kids, and now they're not. I can only be angry for so long. I can only sit in this depressed, saddened state and fill it with all the voids in life for so long. What am I going to take from this? What am I going to do in this moment that is going to actually make him proud. I think that's kind of what became my motivator is what would he want me to do? Like what would, what would make him most proud and what I'm doing in my life. And so I definitely feel
you
like,
were automatically thinking then, okay, now I'm going to go to college. Now I'm going to become a teacher. It made you even think deeper into what you really wanted.
yeah, exactly. And I think I didn't know that I could even have the life of anything outside, like being an entrepreneur or doing anything outside of the norm in that way. That did not run in my family at all. I mean, we didn't have any of the take risk mentality. We played it safe. That was just kind of what I was taught. You played it safe because you didn't want to not have a job. You didn't want to not have money. That was the kind of life that we lived. And so for me, thinking about doing anything other than going to school and getting a degree, that was just what I had to do. And so I would say in that season when my dad passed away, I was still very focused on, okay, you need to get the job, you need to get the degree, you need to save, because I was just still in that mindset of that's what you had to do. And then once I started going to college to do that, that's whenever I was presented with this kind of new opportunity. And with that, and losing my dad, I was like, I don't want to not take risks. I don't want, he really stemmed a lot of my decision making, because I was just like, if this was the life that I lived and I was going to be gone tomorrow, would I be happy with what I'm doing now? And so that's kind of the foundation of every decision I've made, up to this point.
I just watched, I'm watching a series right now and I can't remember the exact thing that they said, but it was something like, I don't want to get to the end of my life and have lived the wrong life, like die and live the wrong life.
I think that's like my main fear is like getting to the end of my life and be like, what if I wouldn't have done this? Or like that what if feeling haunts me, I think. And I think because I was such at a young age, I'll just be really intimate here, but seeing my dad cry, like the desperation cry of just like how bad he didn't want his life to end. And I know that's because he had kids and he had family, I think there's a little bit of that, but I think even more so it's thinking about all the life you don't get to live anymore and all the things you wish you would have done, hearing that desperation and those prayers and those cries, it's
wanting to be here. And I think too, for me, having lost my husband when I was 32 years old and our son was just 5 years old, he was 35. He was not happy about leaving this planet and leaving me to raise our son alone without him and not getting to be here for the things. He was a very good dad and he was very involved and was in everydayness. And so for me, much of my motivation, kind of like what you said, is there's a really big reason for some people for all things that happen. But in my experience, I thought, okay, there's a really big reason he's not here anymore. And it's my job as Hunter's mother to bring to fruition whatever greatness can come, and not in spite of losing him, but because of it. Because I had to look at it like we're special. We have a purpose beyond this short life that Wesley lived. And so much of my purpose was wrapped up in the life that he got to live and making sure he died and lived with dignity. Then, okay, what am I going to do next? What is next for me? And I think that if you put that in a place that is healthy and it's hard work, you can do anything in the world with it because you're here. And if you know what a gift that is, there's no limits. There just aren't no limits. Doesn't matter where you live, doesn't matter where you start from, none of it matters. If you use that to motivate you to live a bigger, better life, whatever that looks like. So let's take a break. And when we come back, I want to talk about what you did next and then get to what you're doing now. Okay.
All right. Sounds good.
With Jordan, we'll be back in just a moment. We are back. We're talking with Jordan Mulanax. Thanks so much again for being here. And I mean, this show, I'm like, let's have it on the first week of January. And we're talking about all this heavy stuff, but let's get to some of the other things that came next in your life. You talked about not ending up feeling like you're in the right place in college, deciding you didn't want to be a teacher. And then you go in a completely different direction that doesn't have the security that your family had instilled in you and wanted for you. And you get involved in a network marketing company. But you don't just get involved, you get you get big involved, and some people
Yes.
do that. It's not an easy industry, but you were quite successful. And what about that appealed to you in terms of this realization you're having about yourself? Was it community? Was it like-minded people? What drew you?
Yeah. So I actually saw a girl posting on it on social media, which is how most of us find network marketing. And so when I saw her post, it was just talking about freedom. It was just freedom, and this word freedom, I didn't know really what that looks like because I was living paycheck to paycheck. I was in college. I was working the 2 jobs. I was doing all the things, and it was just talking about the amount of money that she was making. I had never even thought was possible. I mean, it was more than what I would be making as a teacher, you know. So I was kind of like, I was really kind of attracted to this thought of I could make more for myself. And I had a very deep rooted desire to help my mom now that she's, you know, a widow. And I was like, if I could be making this much, I could help her pay her bills. I could do, not that she wasn't doing well for herself. I just wanted to give back to her for all the things that she's done for me. And so I just decided to say yes. And it was the scariest thing ever because I mean, I had to go ahead and say, okay, let's try. And with the risk of failing and having to tell my mom that I'm doing something different. And I actually didn't even tell her I wasn't still teaching at the time. I was like, oh yeah, I'm still going to become a teacher. This will just be like a little side hustle that I do just to kind of get groceries and things like that.
Yeah,
But
ease
man,
her into it.
yep, exactly. I was like, it's not going to be anything that I do for a long time. You know, it was just going to be something for extra nail money, you know, and get my toes done every now and then. But what actually happened was it filled a lot of the desires that I wanted in life, anyways, like community and friendships. And I had a voice. I was able to get to be myself, but also help other people at the same time, which is something that I already love to do so much. Um, I was able to go on these retreats with these women and men too. I had a team of guys too. And we were able just to dream together. And I think being in that environment where someone really wants you to win, I think that was so important to me. And that's something that really filled my cup for getting to do that every single day. And that was the first introduction of like, whoa, this is a different lifestyle. I've never seen this kind of living before where you listen to self-development and podcasts and you know actually make goals for income that you want, and there's no cap. There's like no
And
cap. And
so it wasn't necessarily, I mean, because a lot of people who are involved in network marketing companies, this is just one of the things you've done, and we're getting to what you're doing now, what came next for you. But a lot of people, I mean, know that the average person makes less than a couple $100 a year. So you went on to make 6 figures.
yeah.
What do you think, what was different about you than the average person who doesn't have that success?
I
And
mean,
yeah.
oh, go ahead.
And
Yeah.
how did and then your mom might have been okay with what you were doing by then, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I would say within my first year, I started hitting around that 4-figure mark. And then after that, I will say with network marketing, direct sales, it takes time. It is not a get rich quick by any means. So I would say that percentage comes in of people trying to make it big really, really fast and then leaving because it's hard. I mean, it's hard work. But there was something about, like I said, the community aspect of it and how fun it was. Like, I think I was so desperate for fun in that season of my life because I was just going through such a hard time. Just, I mean, because I started
Check
the
some
direct
boxes
sales
for you, right? It checks some
for
boxes.
sure. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a good feeling. And I think I was so desperate for good feelings in that season. And so, and I was just meeting all of these amazing girls. I was like, I think I had really good friends, but we kind of all fizzled out a little bit because of college. And so meeting more people and getting to see them every single day and pouring life into each other, it was definitely something that I stuck with it anyways, even if it wasn't bringing
How
in
long were you with that company?
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah, 4 years
So you said it took a good year or two to get
for
to
sure.
really see the big money. And then you made a pivot again. So 4 years in and you're making 6 figures, but your cup wasn't filled anymore and you were making a decision again to make a big change. And that's part of what I wanted to have you on now at this time of the year, because people get stuck in a decision that they made a year ago, 10 years ago, and they don't understand, or they're afraid to make that change. I'm guilty of that myself still to this day. And I'm like the don't wait girl, right? And so you made a switch to another company, to work for a course creator, someone who creates courses, online courses, and you couldn't do both.
Nope.
And what made you decide to leave? Now it's not only the community you've built, but the financial security.
Yeah, it was terrifying because I definitely feel like, and I think part of me leaving was because I had put so much of my identity with that name of that company. I felt like I really wasn't myself anymore. I was just the direct sales girl. I felt like I had gotten so obsessed with the nice cars and the materialistic things. Like it didn't really align with who I was for myself. And so with the new opportunity coming in, also there was benefits involved. So I was like, okay, I'm getting older. I'm going to want kids. I was like, can I really do direct sales till I'm 50? I don't know. Like there's a lot of questions going on. And so with this opportunity, it was, commission. So I was like, okay, I could still make a limited amount of money. That kind of checked off that box because I'd already been introduced to that in direct sales. And then there was benefits and other things. And so it was almost one of those just kind of pros and cons where I was like, this is terrifying. It doesn't make sense. It really didn't make sense. I was like, why would I leave all my friends? Why would I leave this life? I've been doing this for 4 years. I'm good. I'm well known. I know this is a comfort zone for me, but there was something, in my heart that was like, this is a next step. This is going to be something that you need to do. And I think it really actually aligned me with where I'm at now. Like I wouldn't be where I'm at now without that opportunity for sure. So.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that there are no, I mean, everything is an opportunity, right? And you stayed with that company when you made that change. You stayed for how long?
2 years. Course creating with the 2 years.
Yeah. So the 2 years and led you to what you're doing now. When we think about the projects we're going to work on or the work that we're going to do, there's something I'm about to launch that is really literally 25 years in the making.
That's what I was going to say too. This idea that I have now actually started when I was doing direct sales. It was always on my heart. I just didn't know how to get there. And I just never really thought it would be something I did, but I needed to make the shift before getting here.
Ago on my show with someone else and about how there are different opportunities that we come across that aren't necessarily the thing that we see ourselves doing for a long, long time or what we want it to be our identity. There are different things that I've done that I've had success at that I enjoyed, but it wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't my legacy. And I know that's a big word. Legacy doesn't have to mean you're leaving millions of dollars in a foundation for giving away money for the rest of your children's life. That's not a legacy. A legacy it can be your corner of the world. And none of the things I did before what I've done the last 10 years were part of that legacy. And so you get to keep on building. Okay, we're going to take a quick break and then we'll come back, Jordan. We'll talk about what you're doing now. And I really think that it'll appeal to a lot of the people who are watching because it is just about doing the things now that are in your heart and soul. So we'll come back in just a moment. We're finishing up with Jordan Mulanax. Jordan, we've talked about the things that led you to where you are now and the launch of your new brand. And it doesn't matter to me that you're in the early stages, literally just launched, the discussion about it last week, in the last couple of weeks. So I want people to understand that you don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to have everything dialed in. You don't have to even know exactly how you're going to monetize an idea. You just have to be willing to take the risk and go out and put yourself out there. So talk about this venture and how you do it.
Yes. So funny story. It actually is the girl who introduced me to direct sales, Sydney Rhodes. We've been friends over the past, 6 years. And she just kept saying, Jordan, we're supposed to be doing something together. We were so successful here. This is, something I think we could do. And it was always on my heart to help women and be empowered and have this movement. And so we co-founded together Within Her Soul, which is really a place where women can come and just really find their unique light that they already have inside of them, feel empowered by the skill sets that they have and who they are and who they're called to be, and finally go out and do the things that they want to do and be who they want to be. And so, yes, just like you said, we are in the very beginning stages. We have no idea where this is going to take us. We're both very, leaning on the Lord in this season for us and just, asking him what he wants us to do. But definitely it has been an incredible ride. We literally did it in a week. We just said, we're going to do it. We're going to drop everything and we're just going to pour 100% into Within Our Soul. And so that is what we've done. And we're definitely in the beginning phases, but it's been
And
incredible
you are
support so
building a
far.
community again, right? But this
Yes.
community, it seems a little different than the things that you've described, just in how we've talked about it off the air as well. It feels like there is an extra ownership to it, right? There's something about starting something from scratch, no matter how long it
Yeah.
takes, no matter, whether people get it or not, you'll find your people.
Yep. And if I'm being honest, it's mine. It's ours. I think I helped with course creating. I was building someone else's business. I was doing direct sales. I was helping building someone else's business. And I realized I'm doing that so well. Why am I not finally asking myself, what do I want to wake up doing every single day? Who do I want to help? Who do I want to love on? What kind of impact do I want to make? What kind of legacy do I want to have? Just like you were saying. And it finally came to the point where I was like, this is it, and the name came easy. Once I started really figuring out, like, okay, I'm going to do this, everything aligned perfectly. It was just stepping out and kind of leaving that fear behind, because everything flew out so naturally out of my heart, because it was something that's been brewing for 8 years in the making, I feel like now. So,
And the good thing about what you're talking about is you have so much experience with so many different things. At 28 years old, you've done quite a lot of a variety of things, not only in business to earn a living, but the ripple effect of the work that you were doing, that you have an audience already, right? And we talk about audiences on Instagram, and you have a large following in your personal account, and that's a whole other thing. But really about finding the people that belong in this community. There really no one who couldn't be part of it, but some people are going to gravitate toward it and some people aren't. What is the person who are the people you are looking for to be part of this community? Where
yeah. So we're definitely faith-based. So Jesus loving girls. If you're someone who hasn't felt like you knew what you wanted to do with your life, or you feel insecure about certain things, or you feel like you're too far gone and you're behind, we want to help you realign that you're actually exactly where you need to be. I think God works in crazy ways, and he puts things in your path, and he has you in certain situations for a reason. And so we want to help you use those situations and use where you're at right now, and help you see how you're actually incredibly unique and called to do something very specific. And so that's kind of what we are really gravitating towards, is those faith-based women that are ready to make a change in their lives, and finally go after what they really want, and be secure in who God calls them to be.
And you mentioned podcasts earlier. You're also launching a
Yes.
podcast. And there
Yes,
are a lot
podcast
of
is
podcasts.
coming.
I think it's fantastic. People go, oh, another podcast. How awesome is it that you don't have to? I had a radio show on radio for 5 years, and those are hard gigs to get. And now you can have a conversation with anyone, anywhere in the world about anything.
Yep. And our podcast, we're going to be talking about real stuff that Christian women, I think, don't talk about enough. I think Christianity has this kind of view of like, you must be perfect, you have to do all these things the right way. And I am far from that. And so that's kind of what our podcast is going to be about, is how to hear inside of what really a Christian woman is like, and just kind of debunking some of the things that I think Christian women feel like they have to be in order to be loved. So.
And I think even for people who aren't following a Christian faith, it's still a place to go. I think it's interesting to learn about how other people think about all kinds of things. I
Yeah.
listen to podcasts that don't really necessarily align with anything I would think I'd want to do or explore, and yet here
Yeah.
I am understanding the plight or the
Yeah.
feelings and ideas about somebody
Yeah.
else. So.
And exactly. And we're sharing stuff like breakups and loss of, your family and friends. Like, we're talking about heavy stuff, and it's really just going in and just sharing life, sharing experiences. That's really what our podcast is about. And just how really our faith and our spirituality has helped us frame who we are. But we're really digging deep into just some life stuff that we all go through.
Well, I'm excited for you, and I can't wait to have you
Yes.
back and fill us in on all the success you're having in creating
Thank
that
you.
inner soul. Thank you for
Yes. Thank you.